quick review of the videotape confirms Ballard's fears. On closer examination, what had looked to the sub-pilot like a pile of batteries turns out to be something else.
Looks like anti-aircraft gun clips. Or ACACs, or... Yeah. Know what it looks like to you?
And the torpedo the pilot spotted has had its warhead removed, so it can't be from the lost midget sub.
You reach a moment when you know you're not going to succeed because you've given it the best shot. You're going back over the same territory, seeing the same targets a second or third time.
Well, we found a bunch of junk. We don't really have a definitive set of objects that says that the submarine broke up, but it could have. So,
clearly, the sub did not survive. And did the Ward play a role in its demise? And certainly it did. But how did it finally meet its end? Gloriously in battle in Pearl Harbor? Was it sunk by someone else later on? What was its final moments? And for now, we don't know what they were.
Before he set out on his mission, one of the submariners left behind a poem he'd written earlier that day.
As the cherry blossoms fall at the height of their glory, so too must I fall, that men may call me a flower of Yamato, though my bones lie scattered in the bleak wilderness of strange and distant lands.
On the last day of his visit, Dewa asks to see the Arizona Memorial to pay his respects to the Americans who died on December the 7th.
America and Japan must have had their reasons for starting a war, but after coming here and seeing the waves of the Pacific, I question why we had to go to war. Japan and the United States are brothers. Pacific peace is world peace. This trip has made me feel that together we must protect it.
Jack McCarran and Carl Carson are also there to remember their ship and their shipmates. Underwater, the National Geographic camera prowls through the empty ship. These are the first images of the officers' quarters, images from another era, frozen in time. A bathroom with its regulation soap dish. An officer's desk, its papers still arranged in their pigeonholes. A wash basin now filled with sand beneath a shaving mirror. For Jack McCarran, the pictures of his old ship are almost too painful to bear.
40 years, over 40 years, I couldn't, if I was asked, I couldn't talk. I didn't talk about it, I didn't think about it. I had erased it from my mind. I didn't have any memories. I really didn't. I saw that barnacles on that doorknob and the light in the overhead. And the thoughts were, Who was that officer down in there? Did he survive? At one time, that knob was real nice and shiny, and he turned on that light to read. I don't remember the ship as that.
For 3 days after the attack, the Arizona continued to burn. The final totals from the surprise attack were staggering. More than 2,400 deaths and almost 1,200 wounded. 21 ships of the US Pacific Fleet had been sunk or damaged, including all 8 battleships. Over 300 airplanes had been put out of commission. Admiral Yamamoto had accomplished everything he set out to do, except destroy the American aircraft carriers. And in the fighting to come, that would prove to be a critical failure.
One of the best things that ever happened in the United States was our carriers were not involved in the attack. Yamamoto sank battleships, but the battleship was not the queen of the seas any longer. After that day, from now on, it's the aircraft carrier. And the attack on Pearl Harbor, for all of the losses of lives, which comes first, of course, and the losses of ships, they didn't sink any aircraft carriers. And that made what was already a very bad mistake on Japan's part even worse.
And then the Americans went to work. Every ship that had been hit except the Arizona, Utah, and Oklahoma was refloated, repaired, and put back into service. Many would take part in the battles yet to come: Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. And so would the men who survived that day.
I grew up in the Navy. I learned a lot. When I came out of the Navy, I was 6 foot even, weighed 200 pounds. I actually grew up. I learned to be a man.
When I walk as a Pearl Harbor survivor, especially when I have my uniform on, I walk very proud. I represent the country, and I will represent it to the day I die. And I will always be proud to be part of it.
Well, Pearl Harbor to me is like beginning a new life. I may be a certain age, but it seemed that I was reborn that day.
Pearl Harbor survivors are special. They have a feeling for each other and for their country. They have a comradeship that is not matched anywhere in the civilian world. The only people that I've ever met who have that kind of comradeship are foxhole buddies. These guys were in the foxholes together. It's not a feeling of we showed them. It's not a feeling of triumph. It's a feeling of we did it together. We were there. And that's what matters.
It's kind of a hallowed place, and it's very beautiful. I'm amazed that it's this beautiful. And I understand that there's millions of visitors every year that come by and pay their respect to my shipmates. To lots of them, I know a lot of them, those are just names.